I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We married young, had what I thought was a pretty solid relationship, and honestly, I believed we were happy. Or at least I thought that until our anniversary dinner. That night changed everything. It started out like any other anniversary. I had planned a nice dinner at this fancy restaurant downtown, one Lisa had been talking about for months. I wanted to make it special, you know. I even splurged on a bottle of wine we usually wouldn't buy. The mood was supposed to be romantic, but looking back, I noticed all the little signs that tried to warn me. Little things like her phone kept buzzing, and she kept shoving it away whenever I looked at her. Or how she seemed distracted, not really engaged in the conversation. I thought maybe she was just tired or stressed from work, but I should have known better. We got to the restaurant and everything seemed fine at first. We were laughing, joking, even clinking glasses. Then out of nowhere she got a text. I saw it vibrating on her phone and I caught a glimpse of the message. It wasn't just a boring work email or a casual message from a friend. It was from someone named Jake, and the message was flirty, suggestive even. Something like "can't wait to see you tonight," followed by a wink emoji. I froze while she was pretending to be engrossed in her menu, her eyes flicking towards the phone screen. My stomach sank. I knew right then that something was wrong. I didn't say anything immediately, but my mind was racing. Lisa's been acting weird for a while, canceling plans last minute, coming home late, deleting texts, and lying about where she's been. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe I was overreacting. But that message from Jake, that was the smoking gun. I mean, what kind of guy sends a suggestive message to a married woman during her anniversary dinner unless there's more going on? I felt like my world was crashing down, but I also felt this strange mix of anger and confusion. How could she do this to me? How could she cheat on me, especially on our special night? I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I held back. I didn't want to cause a scene in a fancy restaurant. Instead, I decided I'd wait until we got home. But the rest of the night was a blur. She kept texting Jake, laughing at something he said, and I just sat there, pretending to be fine while my brain was trying to process what I'd found. It was like I was watching a slow-motion train wreck happening right in front of me. I kept asking myself if I'd missed the signs, if I'd been blind to her lies all along. When we got home, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I confronted her right away. I grabbed her phone, pulled her into the living room, and showed her the message. Her face instantly turned sour. She looked at me like I was crazy, like I'd lost my mind. "That's nothing, Mike," she spat. "You're just paranoid. Jake's just a friend, okay? You're overreacting as usual." Her tone was bitchy, dismissive, like I was some kind of jealous, insecure idiot. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I knew she'd been lying and sneaking around. She rolled her eyes and said I was making a big deal out of nothing, that I was just jealous because I'd been working too much and I was imagining things. But I knew better. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head, her words, her lies, the message. It hit me like a punch to the gut. That's when I started feeling a mix of hurt and rage. The kind of rage where you want to shake her, scream at her, ask her how she could do this. How she could cheat on me, lie to my face, and then act like I'm the crazy one for confronting her. It's like she's a different person, someone I don't even recognize anymore. I felt betrayed on so many levels. Not just that she cheated, but that she lied so effortlessly, so dismissively. It's like I was invisible to her. And I realized then that everything I thought I knew about us was a lie. I don't know what's worse, finding out she cheated or watching her lie her way out of it like she's the victim. I thought maybe I'd be able to fix this, to forgive her. But honestly, I don't know if I can. I just know that this night marked the end of how I saw everything. And I'm left here trying to figure out what comes next, trying to find some sense in this chaos. After that night, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and every time I looked at her, I felt this mix of disgust and heartbreak. Lisa tried to act normal the next morning like nothing had happened, but I saw right through it. She was acting bitchy, snapping at me over small things, throwing attitude like I was the one who screwed up. She kept insisting I was crazy for accusing her, saying I was paranoid, that Jake was just a friend and I was overthinking. But I knew better. I had seen the messages, the way she looked at him, the way she laughed at his stupid jokes like she was hiding something. That entire day I was a mess. I kept going over everything in my head, how she'd been acting lately, the little lies she'd told, the odd texts she'd been sneaking around with. It all clicked into place now. She'd been cheating on me for who knows how long. The thought made my stomach churn. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, how I missed the signs, how I let it get this far. Honestly, the anger started to build. I wanted to confront her again, to call her out in front of everyone, but I knew it wouldn't do any good. She'd just lie, deny, manipulate her way out of it like she always did. So I decided I needed to get some proof. I didn't want to be that guy who just jumps to conclusions. I needed to catch her in the act, or at least have some concrete evidence. I started looking through her phone, her emails, her social media accounts, anything I could find. I wasn't proud of it, but I had to know for sure. I was desperate for the truth. And sure enough, I found more than I bargained for. Texts, photos, stuff I won't even describe here, showing her and Jake in compromising positions, exchanging explicit messages, and even planning to meet up again. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach all over again. It was worse than I thought. She wasn't just talking to him, she was fucking him. The betrayal hit me harder than I expected. I'd always thought Lisa was loyal, that she loved me. And now I see she's been lying to my face, hiding this secret affair for God knows how long. I was furious, but mostly I felt like I'd been stabbed in the back. How could she do this on our anniversary? How could she act like she loved me, then turn around and cheat with our friend? I couldn't even look at her without these waves of anger and disappointment washing over me. I thought about all the moments we shared, the plans we made, and I felt like they'd all been a lie. I was so hurt I couldn't even cry. I just felt numb, like I had been robbed of something precious. That night I finally snapped. I sat her down and told her I knew everything. I showed her the evidence I had collected. Her response was cold, dismissive, and full of lies. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You're crazy, Mike. You're just jealous because I'm prettier and sexier than you. Jake and I are just friends and you're overreacting. Maybe you should see a shrink, or maybe you're just insecure." Her words cut through me like a knife. She was acting like I was the one at fault, like I'd made this all up in my head. But I knew the truth. She was the one lying, screwing around, and now she was trying to gaslight me into doubting myself. I don't even know how to describe the flood of emotions I felt at that moment. Anger, betrayal, sadness, confusion, all swirling together. I wanted to scream at her, to shake her, to make her see how much she'd hurt me. But I also felt this overwhelming sense of despair. How could I trust her again? How could I believe anything she said moving forward? Everything was a lie. I felt like I was losing my mind, like I was trapped in some twisted nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. And yet, a part of me froze, like I was trying to process whether I should stay or leave. I knew I couldn't stay with her after this, not without some serious consequences. But I also felt so broken and confused that I didn't even have the energy to make a decision. Right away, I just sat there staring at her, realizing that my whole life had been turned upside down in a single night. The trust was gone, shattered into tiny pieces I didn't know how to pick up anymore. I didn't sleep that night either. Instead, I stayed up trying to figure out what I should do next, what kind of revenge or justice I could even seek. That day marked the beginning of a new chapter I never wanted to face. I was hurt and angry, sure, but I also knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with this, not without some kind of consequence. I started planning my next move, but I also knew I needed to give myself some space to breathe, to think clearly. Because trust, that's something I don't think I'll ever get back from her. Not after this. The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and a strange sense of clarity. I couldn't believe how much my world had flipped upside down in just a few days. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw her differently. No longer the loving wife I thought I knew, but a stranger who had been sneaking around behind my back for who knows how long. I felt like I was suffocating, caught in this chaos I couldn't control. I knew I needed to act, but I also needed to be strategic. I started reaching out to a few close friends, people I trusted, to get their advice. Mostly, I wanted to know if I was overreacting or if this was as bad as I thought. The consensus was clear. She'd betrayed me in the worst way possible, and I needed to confront her again, but this time with a plan. I also decided I'd start recording her, little things like her reacting to my questions, her tone of voice, her body language. I wanted real proof, undeniable proof of her lies and her betrayal. Meanwhile, Lisa kept acting like nothing had changed. She'd throw attitude at me, dismiss my concerns, and act bitchy whenever I pressed her about her whereabouts or her phone. It was like she was trying to gaslight me into doubting myself, making me feel like I was crazy. Honestly, that was one of the most infuriating parts. Her denial, her lying, twisting everything around so I was the one who looked suspicious, but I refused to be manipulated. I kept my cool, kept collecting evidence, and planned my next move carefully. One evening I caught her in a lie. She was supposed to meet her sister for coffee, or so she said. Instead, I saw her sneaking out around midnight, heading to some bar downtown. I followed her, keeping my distance, and watched her go inside. I stayed outside, waiting until she was alone with Jake. That was it. I had everything I needed, or so I thought. I couldn't believe she was this brazen, this reckless. After seeing her go inside with him, I felt this boiling rage, like I was about to explode. How dare she do this? How dare she betray me again, right in front of my face? That night I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I sat her down and told her I knew the truth. I played the recordings I'd made, the screenshots I'd kept. Her face twisted into a smirk, and she tried to deny everything, acting like I was some kind of crazy stalker. "You're nuts, Mike," she said, laughing bitterly. "You're just jealous because I'm better than you. You always think everyone's cheating, don't you? Maybe you're the one with the problem." Her words were cold, dismissive, like she didn't care if I knew the truth or not. She kept insisting it was all in my head, that I was paranoid, that I needed therapy. But I wasn't buying it. I looked at her and saw her for what she really was: a liar, a cheat, someone who had thrown our marriage away. I told her I couldn't keep pretending, that I wanted a divorce, and that I was done with her bullshit. That's when she got really bitchy, shouting, calling me crazy, telling me I was overreacting. She accused me of being insecure and said I was probably just mad because I wasn't satisfying her anymore. That was the final straw. I realized I couldn't trust her, and I sure as hell couldn't stay with someone who gaslights me like that. The emotional fallout hit me hard. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and deeply hurt. It was like this giant weight had been lifted off my chest, but at the same time I felt completely shattered. I thought I'd lost my wife, my best friend, the person I'd trusted the most in this world. I started questioning everything. Was I ever enough? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just a fool who believed in fairy tales? The pain was overwhelming, but I knew I had to face it. I couldn't keep living in denial or pretending everything was okay. In that moment, I made a decision. I was done trying to fix this, done trying to be the good guy. I had to protect myself now. I told her I was filing for divorce, that I wanted nothing to do with her anymore. She screamed, cursed me out, called me all kinds of names: bitch, psycho, crazy. But honestly, I didn't care. I felt numb, detached, like I was watching some bad soap opera where the main character finally realizes everyone's been lying. The only thing I could think about was how I was going to move forward, how I was going to rebuild my life without her. That night I slept on the couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything. The betrayal was so raw, so deep, I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. But deep down, I knew I'd be. Okay, I had to be. The pain was temporary, I told myself. I just needed time to heal, to figure out what's next. And honestly, part of me was relieved. The truth was out, and now I could finally start moving toward a life where I'd be the one in control, not her. The days after I told Lisa I was filing for divorce felt like a blur. She was still acting like she was the victim, throwing tantrums, calling me crazy, and saying I was overreacting. Honestly, I expected her to come crawling back, begging me to stay, but she didn't. Instead, she doubled down on her bitchy attitude, acting like I was the one who'd screwed everything up. Every time she threw a fit or accused me of being possessive, I just felt more detached. I wasn't interested in her lies anymore. I'd made up my mind I was done. I started focusing on my own healing. I changed my phone number, blocked her on social media, and cut out anything that reminded me of her. It was hard to let go, but I knew I had to. I didn't want her to manipulate or gaslight me into staying. I was tired of the lies and manipulation. I wanted my peace back. Honestly, it was the first time I realized I'd been holding on to a fantasy, and that fantasy was dead. She'd betrayed me in the worst way possible, and there was no going back. In the middle of all this, I also reached out to a lawyer. I wanted to make things official, protect myself financially, and get this divorce over with as soon as possible. I knew I needed a clean break. I couldn't live with the constant reminder of her betrayal, and I didn't want her to control or manipulate me anymore. The legal process was a nightmare, lots of paperwork, negotiations, and emotional drain, but I knew it was necessary. I didn't want her to get away with what she did without paying a price. Meanwhile, Lisa kept trying to contact me, sending bitter texts, saying I was delusional and that I'd ruin everything. I ignored her. I couldn't deal with her drama anymore. The truth was, I started to feel a strange sense of relief. The weight of her betrayal was slowly lifting. I realized I'd been stuck in a cycle of pain and anger, but now I was taking control. I began to see a future beyond her, one where I could finally breathe again and rediscover myself. Honestly, I'd been miserable for so long, and this chaos, as painful as it was, forced me to wake up. One day, I met with a counselor. I knew I needed help processing everything. The betrayal had shaken me to my core, and I was afraid I'd carry this pain forever if I didn't deal with it properly. The counselor helped me see that I wasn't crazy for feeling hurt, that what she did was wrong, and that I had every right to feel angry and betrayed. She told me I should focus on rebuilding my self-esteem, setting boundaries, and not rushing into anything. It was good advice, and it helped me start to see that I could survive this, even if it would take time. I also started dating again, though cautiously. I wasn't ready for anything serious, but I realized I needed to remind myself that I was still worthy of love and respect. It was awkward at first, but I learned to take things slow. Each small step felt like a victory. Every time I thought about Lisa and what she did, I reminded myself that I deserved better, someone who would actually love me honestly and without secrets. I knew I'd be okay. I still had scars, sure, but I was healing. And in the back of my mind, I kept telling myself that I'd come out of this stronger. Looking back, I realized this whole experience has changed me. I've learned that trust is fragile, that betrayal cuts deep, but also that I'm resilient. I lost someone I thought was forever, but I gained a new perspective on what I want and what I won't tolerate. I see now that I don't have to accept being lied to or manipulated. I can stand up for myself, even when it feels like the whole world is crashing down around me. The biggest lesson I've learned is that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can start climbing back up. I'm not there yet, not completely healed, but I'm moving forward. I've cut out the toxicity, and I'm working on rebuilding my life, better, stronger, and more aware of what I deserve. It's a long road, and I still get moments of anger or sadness, but I remind myself, this pain is temporary, I will get through it, and I will find happiness again on my own terms. By now, I'd been through enough to know that healing isn't a straight line. Some days are better than others. Some nights I still wake up thinking about her, about the betrayal, about all the moments I thought we shared that turned out to be lies. But I also know I can't let that define me. I started focusing even more on myself, my career, my friends, and figuring out what I really want in life. The betrayal showed me how fragile trust is, and how it takes years to build, seconds to destroy. I refused to let her destroy my future with her lies. I decided to move out of the house. I couldn't stand to be there anymore, surrounded by memories of her and Jake, pretending everything was okay. I found a small apartment nearby and started fresh. It was strange waking up alone, without her snarky comments or her bitchy attitude. At first, I felt lonely and a little lost. But gradually, I started to enjoy the peace. No more yelling, no more secrets, no more being manipulated. I realized I'd been living in a cage, and now I could finally breathe. I also reached out to a few friends I'd lost touch with over the years. Some of them were surprised, but they were supportive. They told me I was smart to walk away, that I deserved someone who loved me unconditionally. Hearing that helped me a lot. I started to see my worth again, and I refused to settle for someone who would cheat and gaslight me. I also started therapy seriously, talking through everything I'd been through. It was painful but necessary. One surprising thing happened. I started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just casual meetups with people I clicked with. I was nervous, honestly, wondering if I'd ever be able to trust someone again. But I found that opening up little by little was healing in itself. I'd tell a date about what I'd been through, and they'd listen, offer support, and remind me I was more than what Lisa did. It felt good to be valued again, to feel like I was more than just a victim of betrayal. I was rebuilding my confidence piece by piece. Throughout all this, I kept thinking about Lisa and what she did. Sometimes I'd get angry all over again, rage boiling up about how she lied, cheated, and dismissed my feelings. Other times I'd feel sad, remembering the woman I loved who turned out to be someone I didn't even recognize anymore. But I learned to sit with those feelings, not ignore them. I let myself feel the pain because I knew it was part of the process. The more I faced it, the easier it became to let go. I also started setting boundaries in my life. No more tolerating bullshit, no more excuses for dishonesty. I realized that I needed to protect myself from people like Lisa, people who manipulate, lie, and betray. I became more assertive, more aware of what I would accept and what I wouldn't. That's probably the biggest lesson I've learned. Self-respect is everything. No one should make you question your worth, especially not someone you trusted with your life. Looking back, I understand now that I have to forgive myself first. Forgive myself for not seeing the signs sooner, for trusting her so blindly, for staying longer than I should have. Forgiveness isn't about excusing her behavior, it's about freeing myself from the anger and pain that drag me down. I know I might never fully forget what happened, but I refuse to let it control me. I want to move on stronger and wiser. So here I am, still healing, still learning, still fighting to rebuild my life. It's not easy, and I won't pretend I'm completely over it, but I am better. I know I deserve genuine love, honesty, and loyalty. And while Lisa's betrayal will always sting, I refuse to let it define my future. I just hope anyone going through something similar remembers, it hurts now, but you will come out the other side. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what really matters. And trust me, what matters is you. Now looking back, I realize that what I went through was one of the hardest things I've ever had to face. The betrayal, the lies, the overwhelming sense of loss, they almost broke me. But somehow, I found a way to rebuild piece by piece. I've learned that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's nearly impossible to fix, but not entirely impossible to recover from. It's about knowing your worth, setting boundaries, and refusing to be a victim of someone else's selfishness. I still have days when I get angry or sad, but overall, I feel a lot more grounded. I've come to accept that Lisa isn't part of my life anymore. She's just a painful chapter I've closed. The pain has made me more cautious, more aware, and more determined to protect myself from people who don't respect me. I refuse to let her betrayal define who I am or how I see future relationships. I've learned to trust myself first and foremost. One thing I can say for sure is that I've become stronger because of this. It forced me to confront my own weaknesses, my insecurities, and my capacity for resilience. I've realized that the pain I felt was a sign I still cared, but now I understand how to better guard my heart. Moving forward, I want honesty, loyalty, and genuine love, things I thought I had before, but now I know I must demand them. I don't harbor hate toward Lisa anymore. I recognize she made her choices, and I've accepted that I can't change her. My focus is on healing and moving on. I know I'll be okay. I've learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to find the strength to start over. Losing her was devastating, but it also opened my eyes to what I truly deserve. I want to tell anyone reading this, if you're going through something similar, hold on. The pain is real, but it's temporary. You will heal. You will find happiness again. So here I am, finally at peace with what happened. I've come out of this stronger, wiser, and more aware of my own worth. This betrayal didn't break me. It made me rebuild myself better than before, and I'm grateful for that. Life is unpredictable, but I refuse to be a victim anymore. I choose to move forward with integrity, with hope, and with the belief that I deserve real love, something Lisa never truly gave me. And that's okay, because I'm finally learning to love myself, and that's the most important thing of all.